Hello friends, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and keep watching the IT Asset Management Learning Program. I appreciate your support and time. So in this weekend, we are going to discuss about the scope and different functions. Those are getting performed by the IT Asset Management team. So in first go, we will try to understand the functions of hardware asset management team, or we can simply say the functions which are getting performed by the ham professional, and then we will discuss about the sam functions. So without wasting time, let's get started learning more about the functions those are getting performed by the ham professional. So the first function which is getting performed by the ham professional is tracking the asset receiving information. So ham professional is making sure that whatever the asset has been ordered or purchased by procurement team has been received in your custody or in your organization. So it's one of the important role which is getting performed by a ham professional to validate and verify the ordered quantity, and ham professional also looking for the quality of product. It should not be damaged, it should be fully packed, and there should not be mismatch in quantity. So validation and verification of received asset is getting done by the ham professional. The next function which is getting performed by the ham professional is vendor management. Here we are talking about IT vendor management, and IT vendors are like Dell, Lenovo, HP, Apple, IBM, and so on. So there are multiple vendors available in the market. Those are manufacturing the IT hardware equipment, but I just listed out the top vendors. Those are manufacturing the most of the IT products, and those have grabbed the IT market. So what's the role of ham professional in vendor management? Whenever our organization purchasing any IT product, that product comes with warranty, and ham professional is keeping track of warranty, because whenever we face any kind of challenge, problem, or issue with that hardware, then we have to ask for the support to the vendor, and ham professional is going to be the bridge in between your organization and vendor in order to fix out the problem, to get your product serviced. So this is how it's kind of triangular situation wherein ham professional is going to be the intermediator in between your organization and the vendor, and ham professional is making sure that your product get fixed out and it is working fine, it is get well serviced, and there should not be any impact on business just because of your asset is having some issue. So vendor management is one of the very wide area, but I just touch out the important function which ham professional is doing as a part of vendor management. The next function which is getting performed by ham professional is asset onboarding. So asset onboarding is nothing but updating the purchase asset record in your asset repository. Your company may have some standard item tool in order to maintain and manage the asset information. If your organization doesn't have any standard item tool, in that situation you will have to maintain all of this information into the Excel sheet. So what kind of information we have to collect in order to onboard the asset? So you might need to collect the information about how many asset you have purchased, what type of asset you have purchased, from which vendor we have purchased, what's the warranty details, or what's the warranty your product is holding. So at least these basic information needs to be collected, captured, and maintained at the time of onboarding the asset so that we can easily track that asset for lifelong till the time we dispose the asset. We will have all the information which is associated with that asset by doing the asset onboarding activity. So don't forget to onboard asset as and when you buy it. The next function of hardware asset management professional is managing the hardware asset request. So hardware asset request management is one of the another important function which is getting performed by the ham professional. Whenever any new employee joins your organization, the first need or the first requirement which they will have is hardware asset. It can be laptop or desktop. Without having laptop and desktop in place, or simply we can say without having workstation, your employee or your new joinee will not be able to perform single activity or any single operation which is expected by the business. So in order to fulfill the business requirement, ham professional is playing very important role, because ham team is making sure that end user or new hire will get the requested asset on time. And it's very important thing if you ask me, because without having asset in place there is no value to your resource. So that's why ham professional is really doing wow job by fulfilling the end user's asset request. The next function which is getting performed by the ham professional is asset allocation and asset provisioning. So asset allocation and asset provisioning is nothing but maintaining the asset ownership detail. So whenever any employee requests the asset, so based on the availability, ham professional team needs to do the asset allocation, and that asset allocation is nothing but the tagging the asset on the name of requester or the employee who has requested the asset. So why we are doing allocation? In order to keep a track of which asset is getting used by whom. So who is the owner of asset? So in order to track the ownership of information or the ownership of asset information, it's very important to do the asset allocation, because asset allocation is helping us to identify the actual owner of product, and that job is getting done by the ham professional. So next function which is getting performed by the ham professional is asset deployment. So what is asset deployment? After doing the asset allocation, it's very important to do the asset deployment. Asset deployment is nothing but asset handover. And before handovering asset to the requester, item team needs to make sure that that asset is ready to use. It's fully configured. It means that that requester should be able to perform the basic operations which is expected by the business. So making sure that asset is ready to use before doing the handover or the deployment of asset, and that activity is getting done by the ham professional. The next function is asset usage tracking. It's not enough to just hand over the asset, because we should know if handovered asset is getting used properly, that asset is following the policies which is set by the organization. It should be compliant. It should follow the security related policies, and monitoring of all of this aspect is getting done by the ham professional. As I said, ham team is also making sure that your asset is compliant, it is following the SAFe guidelines, and ham team is also making sure that asset owner is keep updating the details about their usage, and we are tracking all the information with the help of discovery tool. So discovery tool is kind of having agent or the discovery agent which needs to be deployed or installed on end users machine, and that is helping us to understand the usage of asset. The next function is inventory management. So IT inventory management is nothing but keeping a track over how many assets has been owned by our organization and how many assets has been deployed or hand over to the users, and based on that we can easily understand the available stock. So keeping track of what we owned, what we have delivered, and what's available in stock. So that is your IT inventory management, and keeping a track on all of this inventory is getting done by ham professional. So ham professional is having all information about number of assets has been purchased by your company, the total number of assets has been handed over to the end users, and total number of assets available into the stock, and that is helping your organization to forecast the future asset requirement. And this is how ham professional is playing important role in IT inventory management. The next function is asset maintenance and support. So while using the product, end user may face some challenges, some issues related to your hardware. It might be damage related issue, it might be a functions related issue. Whenever that end user faces the challenges with asset, they will reach out to the local IT support. If local IT support fail to troubleshoot the problem or fix out the problem, in that situation we will have to coordinate with vendor in order to get our issue fixed. But it's very important to track the warranty related information, because vendor will entertain you only if you have the active maintenance or your product is in warranty. So that's why keeping track of warranty details is very important, and that activity is getting done by the ham professional. The next function is physical asset verification. So what is physical asset verification and why physical asset verification is important? So physical asset verification is one of the activities getting performed during the hardware asset audit, because in order to identify the gap in between the purchase inventory and the deploy inventory, you may have found some mismatch. There will be chances your asset might lost or stolen, or it may be missing or lying on the floor. And in order to have that accurate information, it's important to do the physical asset verification. So as a part of physical asset verification, ham professional needs to visit each and every location of your organization. They have to visit each and every building, each and every floor, and each and every desk of your organization, and they have to collect the inventory information, and that report or that data will help your organization to identify or understand the lost and stolen and missing asset. And based on my experience, your company will get lot of additional devices or the asset as a part of physical asset verification. So finding the lost and stolen and missing asset, it's very important to do the physical asset verification at least once in a year, and that activity is getting done by the ham professional. The next one is missing asset identification. As we already discussed, physical asset verification is helping us to understand the missing asset or lost and stolen asset, because the reason will be sometime your asset might be in powered off state and nobody is using it and it is just lying on floor. But physical asset verification is helping us to identify this kind of assets. Those are not those are available in inventory, but we are not getting information through the discovery, and that's why physical asset verification is required in order to find the missing asset. And the next important function is asset warranty tracking, because asset warranty is helping us to identify if our product is in warranty. The reason is, if your product is not in warranty, we cannot claim for support. But yes, if your product is in warranty, then we can simply reach out to the vendor and we can ask them to deliver the support. So asset warranty tracking is one of the important function which is getting performed by the ham professional. And the last function which is getting performed by the ham professional is asset disposal and retirement. So what is asset disposal and what is asset retirement? So asset disposal or asset retirement is helping us to understand the life of asset, because disposal is going to be the end of hardware asset management life cycle. So what do we understood from the word disposal? So disposal is nothing but the end of life of the asset, and there are multiple ways to do the disposal. Some companies may donate hardware assets to the NGO. Some company may send these assets to the scrap, and some companies will send it back to the vendor for refurbishment. But when to do the disposal? So disposal will come in picture if your asset is out of warranty and it is not in working condition. In that situation, we have to dispose the asset. So once we do the disposal, that asset will no longer going to be the part of your organization. But in order to keep a track of that asset, we have to mark the status of that asset as a dispose, and that is going to be the evidence in past that asset was part of your organization, but due to the end of life, we have done the disposal and this asset is no longer available with our organization. So that's the disposal part, and which is very very important, and that activity is getting done by the ham professional. But make sure that before doing the disposal of asset, we have wiped out all the data which is lying on our asset. We have cleaned all the data. We might have taken the backup of the information or the data which is available on that device, and after that only we can proceed for the disposal. So disposal is the last and most important function which is getting performed by the ham professional. So till now, I have tried my best to cover multiple functions and I try to explain the scope of ham or hardware asset management. I may missed out few function. I would request you all to write all of this function into the comment. And again, if you really like this video or this learning session, do subscribe to my channel so that I will keep posting the learning or knowledgeful sessions in every week based on your support and based on your requirement. In last week, someone asked me to share a video which is helping them to understand the scope of item. So in this week, we discuss about the ham scope, and in next weekend, we will try to discuss and come up with the in detailed information about the software asset management scope. So in next week we will discuss about this SAM software asset management scope. I don't want to make this session very lengthy, as I know it's a weekend and I will allow you guys to enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much once again. Have a nice weekend ahead, guys. See you in next weekend. Thank you for now. Bye.